Hi guys, nice to see you again. As I have promised in our last meeting, I would record an extra class for us to discuss and to review some of the terms and aspects that we have studied in our course. So happy 2021 officially. If we've made it to 2021, I believe nothing can stop us, right? So here we go, and we start reviewing some aspects and terms of contract law. This exercise asks us to match the 5 elements of a legally binding agreement of a contract with the short explanations that come here. So the first one is an offer. Right after that, we have unconditional acceptance, then consideration, legality of the subject matter, and real agreement or consensus, right? So the first explanation here says that there must be an element of exchange involving something of value for both parties. If you remember that, this is what we call consideration. The second explanation is that this can be made orally, in writing, or by a gesture. This is an offer. The third one, there must be no element of the agreement which is against the law, which is our legality. Then the agreement must not be based on duress or given under threat. So here we have a real agreement. And the last explanation is that there must be no ifs and buts in accepting the offer. And any acceptance which is conditional is a counter offer. And now let's review some vocabulary that is important when we are talking about parties involved in a transaction or an action. The box here brings us the following words: signatories, buyer and seller, borrower and lender, supplier and producer, wholesalers and retailers, lawyer and client, teacher, student, plaintiff and defendant, licensee and licensor, franchisor and the franchisees, undersigned and parties to the agreement. Then completing the sentences, we would have the following. Everyone promises to obey the convention. All major countries are signatories to it. In the civil case, the plaintiff brought an action against the defendant for damaging his car on purpose. The price was negotiated between the buyer and the seller of the house in a private sale. The bank agreed that the borrower should pay 12% on the loan, so the lender made a fair profit. Manufacturers sell their goods to wholesalers, and in turn, retailers buy from them. The relation between lawyer and client is bound by confidentiality. The beer can be produced under license, but the licensee must fulfill all the requirements imposed by the licensor. Some cloth companies sell their products on a franchise basis. Each country has a main franchisor with numerous people working as franchisees. A letter was sent to the manager complaining about working conditions. All the members wrote their names, and the letter read, "We, the undersigned, strongly protest about conditions at work." Many projects require the cooperation of various partners. If they all agree to work together, they become parties to the agreement. Okay. This next activity here reviews the vocabulary regarding corporate law or company law. So here it says that corporations or corporate law covers how to create and regulate companies and corporations. A corporation is a group of individuals who are treated as a legal entity. The corporation can own, buy and sell property, sign contracts, and sue as well as be sued. Corporate law covers relationships among shareholders and management. Corporations' laws do not govern the relationships between the company and third parties. For this, you need to refer to competition or antitrust law, environment law, and so forth. We will have here a due diligence that took place in a company. You know what is a due diligence? So whenever a company is thinking about acquiring or merging with another company, you need the lawyer and accountants also to analyze the documents and the possible future liabilities that the company may have. In this specific case here, we have the lawyers to grab it and run, doing a due diligence for Dodgy Corp. They have found the following legal problems that company needs to be aware of. So we have on A, B, C, D, and E, the problems, and we have to relate to which lawyer or to which department found these problems. So letter A says that Fu Monty did not receive a redundancy payment when he was laid off last autumn. So redundancy payment is that amount of money that you receive once you are fired for being redundant. So in this case, probably the person who found this issue in the company is Gary from the Employment Law Department. Letter B reads, Obese Feline, a former shareholder, was taken off the Memorandum of Association when he sold his shares and relinquished his position as a director. So here, as we're talking about shareholder, Memorandum of Association, the selling of the shares, probably it's from the corporate team, Mr. Par Value, that found the problems, okay? Letter C says that the company has been dumping hazardous waste in a nearby river. Well, hazardous waste, probably it's the environment department who found these problems. Letter D says that there are still outstanding payments to the tax authorities. Tax is from the tax department. And the company's legal department could still file a demurrer against a litigant in a claim for damages. So this one is litigation. The litigation department found this problem. Okay, here we have employment, corporate, environment, tax, and litigation. Let's also review the differences between crimes and intentional torts. So I hope you remember what nuisance is. It's our controversial term. Nuisance, robbery, trespass to personal property, burglary, fraud, defamation, forgery, invasion of privacy, fraudulent misrepresentation, arson, embezzlement, unfair business practices, stalking, domestic violence, and negligence. Of course, what we are seeing here is the division of these illegal acts, either they are criminal or civil, regarding common law jurisdictions. So some things might differ to what we have here in Brazil, but considering common law jurisdictions, we have robbery, burglary, fraud, forgery, arson, embezzlement, stalking, and domestic violence as crimes. And nuisance, trespass, defamation, invasion of privacy, fraudulent misrepresentation, and unfair business practices, as well as negligence, as in the category of torts, illegal civil wrongs. Remember what torts are. And finally, if you remember the end of our last class, we discussed the case where a guy had a few more shots at the bar, and then he took his car and he ended up crashing a girl and killing her. What I would like to suggest you now here in this case, hypothetical, is to read these 4 cases that we have and try to write down a text determining who is more morally responsible for the damages and injuries caused than the other. So the 4 cases here are: letter A, after drinking alcohol all day, an obviously drunk man buys a shotgun from a department store. He takes the gun home and shoots his girlfriend, who now will never be able to walk again. Who is more morally responsible on this case? The clerk who sold him the gun, the drunk man, or the manufacturer of the shotgun? Text B says, case B says that a pharmaceutical company hides and falsifies data about very serious mental side effects of a drug. A man taking the drug commits murder. Who is more morally responsible here, the murderer or the drug company, and why? Case C says that a man who is killed in a minor car accident is clearly at fault, is clearly responsible. However, it can be demonstrated that he would not have been killed if the car had been designed correctly. In this case here, who is more responsible, the dead man or the car manufacturer? And the last case says that a supermarket allows a cake manufacturer to set up an unattended table with samples of cakes for customers to try. One of the customers slips and falls on a piece of cake on the floor in front of the table and breaks his leg. Who is responsible here? Who is to take the blame? The customer, the store, or the cake manufacturer? I know that all these cases can have several outcomes. I know that depending on the jurisdiction, they will have different results. But my objective here is to make you think of these possibilities, but especially to write in English a short text, a short paragraph defending who do you think is more responsible and why. All right. So guys, we're planning on doing a second course with AJURIS. The idea is that the course will start in April, if I'm not mistaken. And so if you have any questions, you can just email me or send me a WhatsApp message. So let's keep in touch. And I hope to see you all again very soon. Bye-bye.